Hi, this is Amberly out of Octavia Field, here to give you a little money stretching tip with your celery. So we're all feeling the pinch at the grocery store, and any little bit I personally think is helpful. And I actually grew up with the different mindset, I personally believe, because we had what we have. If you need something, you can't always just go out and buy it. Right? Like that comes from not having a lot of money. Yeah, you might need that, but you can't have that. So when you do have something, you have to make sure you might be able to stretch that something to have it later. And I personally think while this is very helpful for inflation and such, it's actually just a really good mentality. Everything that you put your money towards is an asset of yours. Anything of that you throw away, you're throwing away money. So let's talk about celery. Now you know about the basic use of celery, which is to chop up and use for a snack, or maybe take parts of those main ribs and throw it into something that you're going to start a stock, a stew, or a roast on. I want to talk about one of the portions that just gets thrown away, because if you throw away the inside of your celery or the leaves of your celery, did you know that you're throwing away money? Why do you do that? Join me and not do that anymore. So it's actually very interesting that if you go and have like Thai food, like a Thai soup, you'll actually find those celery leaves in the soup because they understand they are full of flavor. So what I do is I take all those little inside portions and the top leaf portions, or if you've got your main ribs with the main colored stuff that you might snack on, but there's a small little portion at the end, those portions at the end, I actually chop them up, throw them on a sheet pan, stick them in the freezer so they can individually freeze. Once they're frozen, I'll show you the end result, which it takes about overnight for that to freeze in that way. I take the individually frozen cut up parts of celery and I place them in a freezer bag. And I'm not sure if you can see the texture of all the celery that's in there, but there's leaves, little bits, portions like that. Now what I can do, and this is everything that I would have thrown away if I was only using certain portions of the celery or only used the portions I needed for that day. So if I have a recipe coming up and I don't have any celery already ready in the fridge or growing, because you can regrow the base root of the celery, another video in the future, I can go straight to my freezer, pull out my bag, literally open it because they're individually frozen, and throw these in whatever I'm cooking celery with. It's a good way to save your money. I actually used it last night when I made some chicken noodle soup. And you don't have to just do this with celery. You'll actually see in my bag, if you have those ugly dry carrots that your kids won't eat because they're ugly and dry and you can't seem to force them to like them, chop them up and throw them in a bag. Now, when do we tackle this, right? Like, you have a ton of things to do regardless of your lifestyle. So I have 2 times that I might do this. One might be that time when I come home with my groceries and I'm actually preparing all my veggies and fruits, which isn't that often. Sometimes I do that, maybe a few times a year. I'll like come home and chop everything up and prepare it and have it sitting in there looking very lovely. But I don't always do that. The other time I will do it when I'm actually touching the bag of celery. So if I already know that I'm going to be preparing celery for whatever meal I have tonight, I will cut up my portion for the meal and then quickly process whatever I have on the side. Now, I personally, because I really am into freezing particularly right now, I have a sheet pan in my... Not yet, sweetie. I always keep a sheet pan pretty much in my freezer so I can throw whatever's going bad, like pears, chopped up bananas, or the end of our ground beef. And I'll throw it on that sheet pan, and then I just go down the next morning or the next evening and shove everything either in a vacuum sealed bag or a regular Ziploc bag. But the fact that it's frozen individually is what makes it special, because if you were to take your bag of celery, throw it in the freezer, because you're like, oh, I remember I can freeze celery. If you try to do something with that celery in its full form, one, it's hard to cut celery when it's frozen, if you've ever tried that. 2, if you let it sit so you can cut it, it turns to mush. It has to be cut and individually frozen to be used easily. And the nice thing is that because you've frozen, cut it, and read it, made it ready, it actually will freeze in all those extra nutrients and flavors. So stop throwing away those extra portions of your celery. Make it so that when you are about to cook something and you're like, oh no, I don't have enough celery, I don't have this or that, be prepared. You don't have to go out and buy celery because you went ahead and froze it and made it ready and easy to use. So come on back for more tips, more ways to stretch your money, fix things, and hopefully I have some tools for you, and maybe you can get me some tools because I'm always looking for more. Bye.